Hey Inspirators, it's Inspiring Vanessa here. Welcome back to another wonderful and inspiring interview for all of you. I am very excited for today's interview. I hope you have been doing well, trying to maintain a positive mindset and I guess try and maintain some sort of routine as we're slowly approaching to get, I guess, somewhat back to normal as well. So let me know how you guys have been doing and feeling, especially there's been a lot of stuff going on in the media right now. So luckily we can just kind of sit back and focus on the positives. But I hope you have been doing well and are as excited as I am to do this interview and to listen to this conversation. But if you have any questions, do leave them down below during the interview, and if there is enough time at the end then we can definitely go through them. But my guest on today's interview is the wonderful Kea Peahu. She's actually in the new Netflix Finding Ohana film. I watched it and it was such a brilliant film. I think it definitely has a very kind of unexpected twist to it that is not something we usually see in storylines of films, and she's also a dancer. So if you guys have any questions about the acting or dancing industry, make sure to leave your questions down below, and if we do have enough time, as I said before, we can definitely go through a few of them. But without further ado, I am going to bring her onto this interview and then we can just head into our first question. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I mean, thank you so much for being my guest, first of all. What have you been up to recently?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I mean, thank you so much just for being here. I mean, it's so lovely to be able to speak to you and obviously about the film and all. What have you been up to recently? How have you been doing?
So there's not a lot that I can do during this pandemic because like for auditions I can't physically go, so I'm just doing like a lot of self-tapes. And then with dance I'm still trying to like dance, but I can't physically go, so it's kind of hard, but I'm just kind of trying to do as much as I can like here at home safely.
I mean, I guess self-tapes are still really good because then you can kind of apply for international auditions, which is also really helpful. Thank goodness for technology in the day and age of our world. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do any of those things, especially, but hopefully you can get back to normal and obviously go and do dance classes, because I couldn't imagine obviously not being able to do that and be around people as you usually would be. But we're just going to jump into our first question, which is what inspired you to become an actress?
So when I was younger, I've always been like a dancer, but I never even like thought about acting. And then my mom heard on the radio station about this event called Celebrity Experience. And when she took me there, it was my first time like ever acting. I didn't really know much about it, and I realized like how much I actually loved it. So at the event, we had to do like a bunch of things where we had to act. We got to meet like a few celebrities. And when I was there, a lot of the managers and the agents were telling my mom and I like how it was going to be hard to do like all this stuff in LA if I just lived in Hawaii. So 3 weeks later after the event, my mom made a really big sacrifice and we packed our stuff and then we moved to LA.
Oh wow, I mean that must have been an extremely kind of quick process already.
Yeah,
but
it was.
Everybody knows that LA is the land of opportunity, so it definitely was, obviously, as we can see by what you've achieved already, it definitely was a good sacrifice and certainly worth it as well. But that is amazing to hear. Obviously, I guess obviously because you are from Hawaii, so for us it's like even be able to go there or film a dream come true. So
yeah,
what does your dream acting project look like? Because for us, like for you it's like, well, what is your actual dream acting project? Sorry, kept pausing.
It's okay, mine is too. So I actually get this question, and it's funny when I get it because I feel like my dream project is Finding Ohana, because I mean it was filmed like in Hawaii where I'm from, and also like the people I got to film it with, it was like we were one big family on set. But I think like my dream is to do like a Finding Ohana 2, because that would be like a lot of fun for me.
Yes.
But like besides Finding Ohana, I think I really want to be in a scary movie one day.
A horror movie. What's your favorite horror movie? For me, I'm not the biggest fan of horror. I think my favorite genre is like comedy. I think is the best one, or action. But what's your favorite genre or your favorite horror movie that you've watched?
I like I don't know. There's so much. I like The Conjuring. I love like Annabelle. I like Saw. Besides the fact that I have to close my eyes a lot because when it gets like too disgusting, I don't like blood. That's why. But I like any type of scary movie.
I mean, that's so good to hear. So fingers crossed, maybe in the sequel you can kind of mix a bit of, I guess, thriller here and there. So we're all on the edge of our seats, or a different project in itself. But that sounds amazing. My next question is, how did you find out that you landed the role for Finding Ohana?
So Finding Ohana was actually filmed in 2019. So this was like before the whole pandemic. And when I went to audition, I got to physically go and like meet Jude, the director and stuff. But I mean, I was just like on my couch. I was like watching Netflix, and then my mom gave me the phone, and Jude was on the phone call, and then we talked for a little bit. She's like, "Do you know who you're speaking to?" And you can actually like see the video like on my Instagram page because my mom filmed it. And she was like, "How would you feel to be a part of my movie?" And like so much emotions were going through my head because I was like, this one phone call, like it literally changed my life. And I mean, I was like, I didn't know if I like should cry or if I should like run out of my house or anything, but I think I was just like pumped with a bunch of excitement, and then like actually getting to film the movie, it was all just like a big dream come true for me.
It's kind of like an out-of-body experience in a way,
Yeah.
to kind of just get that call, because I don't think you actually kind of process it until you're actually there on set or after you've watched the final movie anyways.
Yeah.
What was your actual thoughts on seeing everything put together? Because I'm guessing there must have been quite a lot of green screen work and here and there, a lot of stunts. So how was it like to kind of see the final project and what everything looks like?
With the green screen stuff, it's actually, a lot of people asked us like this question if it was like a lot of green screen. The only part that was green screen was the part where the night marchers walk into the water. But besides that, everything else was like we were on a handmade set or we were physically there. So it was really cool. But anyways, with seeing like everything come together, I think filming one thing is so cool, but then like actually seeing it all put together and how like it made it what it was, like it was all just like, I couldn't believe it. Like I still don't believe it to this day, to be honest. I mean, it's been a while since like, it's been a little bit since it's like came out, but I still feel like it hasn't even come out yet, and like at the same time, if that makes sense. But I mean, I'm still like trying to like wrap my head around the fact that like we really made this movie and it's actually like out there and people can like watch it on their devices.
I mean, yeah, it must have just been a completely surreal moment, just as a whole, and to see everything kind of, obviously, if you are behind the camera all the time, you're seeing behind the scenes. To see what the camera guys see is a completely different experience and perspective to kind of see. So, it's very, very exciting, and there's been, I believe, a lot of great feedback to the film, as it should be, as well. What was your favorite scene to film or day on set, and why?
I think my favorite scene was actually one of the first scenes that we filmed. It wasn't really like a scene, but at the very, very end of the movie, there's like a point where there's a song playing, and then me, Alex, Lindsay, and Owen were all just like dancing around the island. And even though it's at the very end of the movie, it was actually the first thing that we've ever filmed. So like in the movie, it's when we're like the closest, but really in real life, like in reality, it was when we were like the least closest, but we all like connected with each other really like quickly. And I think that's one of my like favorite things, because like when we were filming, it was like really fun. And even though like the characters are close, I feel like us in real life, like we're all close, like we still like talk, we still FaceTime each other, we still hang out, and being able to like go around the island and just film like all these fun scenes with them, it was really a blast for me.
I mean, obviously, getting to spend that with people who you adore being around is just another bonus on top of that, and it's amazing that you guys are obviously still close together even after filming it in 2019. How long was the filming process like? Because obviously there are a few scenes in New York as well in the beginning of the film, so how long was the whole process?
So we filmed for 6 weeks in Hawaii, 5 weeks in Thailand, and then about a week in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That must have, I mean, how was the jet lag? Kind of having to get back to that after doing film?
Well, it was kind of crazy. I mean, it wasn't that bad though, because since like they're all very far away from each other, it wasn't like we were switching. We filmed everything in one place and then we switched to the next. But I feel like, honestly, I got used to it pretty fast, because even though we spent like a lot of time filming, there's this thing called like pumpkining that me and Owen had to do because we're minors. So we couldn't like stay on set for a long time. So we did have like a lot of time to like sleep and get the rest that like we needed.
I mean, that's so good to hear, but what an amazing journey that must have been to travel to all those different places, for sure. But as the film kind of centers around the Hawaiian culture, why do you think representation is so important in film?
I think a lot of times, like, a lot of cultures can get misrepresented, especially like Hawaiian culture. I think a lot of people like don't see how beautiful the culture really is, like past how pretty the beaches are. So I think with this film, like, they took it really seriously to make sure that like we were representing it for something that like it actually is, not something that it's not. And I think like with everything that's did to like make sure that like the Hawaiian was properly like pronounced, and then like the locations, like the caves, the Thailand, we have to go to Thailand to film the inside of the cave scenes, because the outside of the caves, like in Hawaii, the caves are actually kapu, like that's a real thing. So I think like they really wanted to make sure that they were really showing the Hawaiian culture and more about like how just pretty like the beaches are. So I think, and especially being Hawaiian, that's really important to me, so I really appreciated it.
Yeah, so it's just kind of as authentic as possible. So it's not just like they're putting it on just for the film. It's genuinely taking all these steps I usually would, which is so great to hear, especially. And I think what really surprises quite a lot of us is you just think it's some ordinary, normal action film, this kind of adventure that you see all these characters go on. But towards the end of it, if you haven't watched it already, it's like towards the end of it, there's kind of this whole storyline changes, and you learn to kind of adapt to the new change in the film, which is definitely, I think, a plot twist in a way, because you didn't really expect it when you first kind of, begin into it. And that's what I think is really so special about it, and more films should really focus on culture and obviously have it as representative as possible. So not only can you act, but you can obviously also dance. So I know you have this video on your Instagram, but what was your experience like going on tour with J-Lo?
Well, okay, just like saying her name is crazy. I mean, J-Lo, like, she's always been like someone that I could look up to. And when I like from the very start, when I found out I was going to be on a show World of Dance with my crew, The Lab, it was already such like a big blessing for me. But then like getting to go on tour with her, it was like crazy, because I mean, like, we would prepare to perform, and then like each time we seen her walk, she'd like pray with us, and then she'd perform. And even though we did it so much times, every time we did it, it was still like a mind blower for me. And I think, I mean, she's so sweet, she's really hardworking, but she's also like really humble, and she makes sure like she really does have like all her priorities like straightforward. And I mean, I think just like seeing her was really inspiring, but it was also like a blast for me, because there was so much like downtime that we got to like experience the places that we were traveling to, because we also did get to go like internationally, like we got to go like out of state and stuff. So it was a lot of fun for me, especially being able to do it with my crew.
I mean, that's so amazing to hear that obviously she's just as genuine as you usually see her on video, and she's as passionate about her work on camera as she is off camera. So that is certainly brilliant to hear. My final question before we get into some questions from the viewers is, what could we be expecting from yourself in the future?
Well, right now I'm just trying to do as much as I can with acting and dancing. Like I said in the beginning, with this pandemic, it's like it's been really challenging for me. But if you like go on my socials, you'll see that, like, you'll see everything that I'm up to, or everything that's coming up for me.
I mean, that's super exciting. I can't wait to see any more projects. Hopefully that horror film, that scary movie coming up. And obviously we do want a Finding Ohana too. We need a sequel. We need to see where else these characters are going to go, and the kind of the development of that especially. So fingers crossed. I mean, a massive fingers crossed for the sequel. Yes, for sure. This question is from Hello Victoria 16789, and they said, how did the experience of working on the movie I think it's a typo, but I guess, how did the experience of working on the film kind of teach you, I think, is the better way to put it.
Okay. I think with this film, it really helped me realize who I was as an actress, because it was my first movie that I've ever filmed. So going into it, I was really nervous. I mean, I've done auditions, but like I wasn't really fully like aware of what I'm capable of. So I think like with this filming, like with all the sad, mad, happy, and funny scenes, I got to really learn more about who I was as an actress. And then also I got to make like a lot of friends. So I got to like make new relationships with everyone on set. So I think just like I got to discover a little bit more about who I was as an actress.
It really just kind of, you know, let your acting skills grow. And I think that's the best thing about doing any acting project, is because you just kind of get to, I guess, just have no limits and just kind of experiment with whatever you want to do, which is obviously an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
This question is, what was your favorite part of the movie?
Ooh, my
Hard
favorite
question.
part. There's a lot of parts that I really like. I think the water scene, like the water scene, that whole water scene
Yes.
portion, because filming it, I've always like grown up like watching water scenes. I've always been like so curious about how they filmed it, and then like actually getting to film it was a lot of fun. And then seeing it put together, it was like crazy, and it looks like amazing. And I remember like fun fact about the water scenes, actually, there's a point where E like spits water in Peely's face. So while we were filming, that wasn't scripted. He actually like spit the water in my face, but then we were like laughing about it, but we stayed in character obviously because we were filming. And then Jude was like, wait, I like that, let's do it. So that like that whole water scene portion happened, and then it was really like funny to look back at. So definitely the water scenes.
I mean, that's so interesting to hear, because you obviously kind of hear stories about different films or TV shows where it's like, this is the certain theme that wasn't meant to happen, but they still kept it in the final shot. How did you guys actually kind of film that? Because now that I'm thinking of it, it's kind of like a very complicated sequence in a way.
So there were actually 3 different locations. So there was the location that was a handmade set before we jumped. Then there was another location that was another handmade set that looked like the cave where we are jumping like down. We had harnesses on, and they would like put us like far up, and then they would get shots of us and our stunt doubles jumping because we couldn't jump like too far. But we weren't jumping off like anything. When we jumped off, we were actually jumping on like a blue mattress. So yeah, in reality it was a blue mattress, and then while we were jumping, it would like the harness would stop like right before we would touch the water, and then we filmed a little bit of like the in water portion and the second handmade set, and then the third handmade set, or not, the third isn't handmade set, it's an actual like waterfall location. There were like a bunch of different waterfalls that you could view that was in Thailand, and then that's where we filmed like the whole looking for E situation.
I mean, hearing everything behind the scenes is just so kind of crazy to all put together. I think you must have been mind blown when you saw it all together, thinking, we filmed this in like 3 different places, but this is what it looks like all in one shot, kind of all merged together, which is so brilliant, and how film and cinema can do that. This question is, what do you do in your free time?
So I do a lot of things. I mean, one of the things I do is obviously go to Hawaii. Like if I know that I'm not going to be doing things for a while, then I like to go to Hawaii and obviously visit my family, but I just have to kind of like stay safe. But at the same time, like I just went, I was literally just there a few weeks ago. Besides that, I love like, there's not a lot we can do like during this pandemic, but I'll just say like before, like I loved hanging out with my friends. Like I love FaceTiming my friends. I love playing video games. I mean, I like doing anything that like anyone would do. I love TikTok. I'm obsessed with TikTok.
I think we're all obsessed with TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok has definitely got my obsession. But besides dancing, oh, sorry, what?
No, you can go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just saying, like, besides dancing and acting, I mean, I'm pretty, like, I do everything that, like, you guys do, basically.
I think TikTok's just gotten us through the whole of this pandemic.
Yeah.
I really think, I think just social media in general, I don't know what we'd be doing if it wasn't for FaceTime or, you know, any kind of platform we can communicate with other people, because I don't know what we'd be doing now.
I agree.
This question is, how did you manage school with acting and dancing?
So a lot of the times when I'm like on a job, whether I'm acting or dancing, they usually have a teacher there to do school with you. And besides that, like when I'm home, I'm actually homeschooled. So this whole pandemic, like with the homeschooling situation, it's nothing new for me because I've had to switch between public schools and homeschools. And out of all of them, homeschools just worked the best because with all the traveling that I did before, it was really hard to keep keep going to school like physically, and I didn't want to miss too much, so I just stuck with homeschooling. But yeah, usually like for finding Ohana, they had a school set teacher, so we would switch between filming, and then we'd have like either this like little room or like we'd have this like trailer for school that we would go in and do schooling.
That's so fun and interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very good for you or for the people who are homeschooled before this pandemic, because then you kind of guys, there wasn't really like any adjustments. It was just
Yeah.
same old, but for us
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing now? So
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
that's one of the advantages, especially. This question is, was there a scene in the movie that was the most difficult to film?
The water scene was definitely the most difficult. Not really the part where I'm jumping off, but the part where I'm in water, because there was, at the second handmade set, there was a point where they called action and I was just like screaming like for a while before they called cut, and they actually had to put a few weights like in my bag, my fanny pack, so it wouldn't lift up. And then I had a bunch of clothes on with a bunch of layers. The water was warm, but I still had to have like a bunch of layers on. And I was just like, I had to pretend that I didn't really know how to swim. Obviously, I do in real life, but like in the movie, I had to pretend. And then I was like screaming, and I'd switch back and forth, like up and down the water. And then when I went down, I'd have to like keep my eyes open and yell for his name. Then when I came up, I did the exact same thing. And it was definitely challenging because it was really tiring. But as soon as I got out, like they made sure that I was safe, and they made sure that like I had water and I had everything I needed. But definitely that part.
I think you just become an absolutely incredible multitasker after that. You just learn how to do things all at the same time. I mean, that is really just the reality of being an actor, to be honest. This question is, if you were to dance with your favorite celebrity, who would it be?
Ooh.
Very good question.
I mean, there's like so much people that I feel like I look up to, like as a celebrity. Like there's so much amazing people out there that I hope to like work with one day. But to dance with, there's not a lot of like. I feel like I want to make a TikTok with like Noah Stamp, you know, like how he does like TikTok.
Yes.
I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean.
I don't know. I mean, there's not like a lot of like actors or actresses that like actually like dance because like they're more focused on their acting, and then there's like another like dancing side of like the industry. But I think like I'd be down to dance with like anybody, like literally anybody.
Just anyone who's a just brilliant dance partner. But I can definitely see you doing like a collab with Noah Schnapp. I mean, he does so many dancing videos now. They're just very iconic on TikTok. Yeah. Kind of carries the app at the moment, in my opinion. This question is, what's your favorite Hawaiian food?
Ooh, there's a lot. I mean, okay, when I go to Hawaii, something that I always eat is I eat nori, which is seaweed. I eat white rice, steamed rice for the people, and then I love spicy poke. I love spicy poke with like some people say poke, I think poke or poke, but like I just love like that. It's like a sandwich that I eat, and I love to eat it on the beach. It's different every time. So definitely that.
It's different.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be our final question, which is, did you take any action classes or did you just do auditions?
I've never taken an action class before. While we were filming, there was like a stunt coordinator that like helped us a little bit. But the only like stunt really, I mean, I did like most of my stunts because the only stunts that I didn't do were the ones I wasn't like old enough to do because I wasn't of age. But the only like stunt I had to like learn how to do is that little roll thingy that I like do when I jump out of the bus. He was like, "Are you down to learn this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then like he learned it in like 5 minutes or something like that. And then I just did it. But I've never taken like any action classes. I've only taken like auditions before.
I mean, that's interesting. I kind of just, stunt coordinators, I feel like their minds work very differently to how we see things. To kind of, put them all together and to know how it's going to look like at the end. They deserve a lot of appreciation. But my final question is, do you have any kind of golden nugget piece of advice to give to someone who wants to become an actor?
I think just don't let your fear like overwhelm you. Like if you really do want your dreams to come true, just be like fully committed to it and be willing to do anything that it takes to get there. And like there may be like people that may bring you down in the journey even if they don't have a reason to, but I think just don't let them like get in your head. And at the end of the day, the only opinion that really matters is your own for what you want. So just don't let anyone like stop you from doing what you want to do, and just always believe in yourself and try to keep your head up.
I mean, just amazing advice. Couldn't have said it any better. I think it's extremely hard, especially in this industry, or any industry, to be honest. You get so many setbacks and you're not going to get every single job that you go up for. So it's so important to obviously keep your head up high and to keep going, because you never know what opportunity could be knocking on your door the next day. So it really just showed that persistency and consistency are certainly key to succeed, especially in acting as well. But that was our final question. Thank you all so much, all the people who've been sending in questions. Sorry we didn't get through all of them. There have been a lot. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. Kea, where can we find you on social media to keep up with your journey?
Well, you can tap on my Instagram, which is Kea Peahu Official. You can look on my TikTok, my Twitter. It's all, if you just search up my name, Kea Peahu, you'll be able to find me.
So everybody, make sure to follow, obviously, if you aren't already. But thank you so much for being my guest today. It was so wonderful speaking to you and hearing about your journey. And I can't wait to see you feature in more films or more series in the future, or to see you dancing on another big stage again. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So now it is the end of this interview. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm so sorry you didn't get through all of your questions. This interview will be up on my IGTV right after this. So if you have any other questions, leave them down below in the IGTV comments, and maybe Kea can reply to them if you really have a question that you still want to be answered. But thank you all so much for tuning in today and all of your questions. I hope you guys did enjoy this interview. I know I certainly did. If you'd like to see some more interviews with other people who have also been featured on Netflix as well, which is super exciting, I've got another selection of interviews that you can watch, which are available right here on Instagram on my IGTV, or my YouTube channel, which is Inspiring Vanessa. But make sure to go and check those out. If you're listening to this on a podcast, check out our other interviews. If you're watching this on YouTube, then subscribe and watch our past interviews. If you're here right now on Instagram, thank you for being here live with us, and I will see you guys on my next interview. Bye everyone.